It's Tuesday, 5 March. Welcome to the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. Let's get briefed. First, a far-left environmental group, apparently armed with self-righteousness but no sense of irony, claimed responsibility for an arson attack targeting a major Tesla factory in Germany on Tuesday that forced the electric vehicle plant to shut down operations. It seems that the environmental group did not get the memo, explaining that electric vehicles are the darlings of the environmental justice movement. Also, we'll discuss a disturbing new report from the United Nations that spotlights the brutal and extreme acts of depravity carried out by Hamas terrorists against Israeli citizens during the 7 October attacks. It serves as a reminder of what Israel is up against and why, perhaps, they're focused on destroying Hamas. But first, our afternoon spotlight. I want to begin in Germany with the suspected arson attack by radical environmentalists that targeted a Tesla gigafactory near Berlin on Tuesday, causing widespread power outages and forcing employees to evacuate the massive facility. Authorities initially said that a group of unknown perpetrators had sabotaged the electrical infrastructure in a small town outside Berlin that houses Elon Musk's Giga Berlin electrical vehicle plant, the only facility operated by Tesla in Europe. The suspects set fire to a high-voltage pylon near the factory, causing such extensive damage that the power supply to the community and the Tesla plant was cut. This forced a complete halt in production at the factory. Now, the fire was extinguished before it reached the factory. However, some 2,000 households are currently cut off from power, and officials said it would not be an easy fix to restore. While authorities are warning against premature speculation regarding the perpetrators, a far-left environmental group issued a letter claiming responsibility for the act of sabotage later on Tuesday. The letter called for the, quote, complete destruction of Tesla's gigafactory. The radical activists, who call themselves the Volcano Group, ooh, that's catchy, accused Tesla of eating up resources in the region, breathlessly claiming that, quote, Tesla consumes earth, resources, people, workers, and in return spits out 6,000 SUVs, killer cars, and monster trucks each week, end quote. Now, little is known about the Volcano Group, other than the fact that they do have a catchy name and that perhaps they have an inability to equate electric vehicles with pro-environmental pursuits. However, Germany regards them as a left-wing extremist organization. Tesla owner Elon Musk was quick to respond to the arson attack, saying, quote, these are either the dumbest eco-terrorists on earth or they're puppets of those who don't have good environmental goals, end quote. Musk, never one to mince words, added, quote, stopping production of electric vehicles rather than fossil fuel vehicles is extremely dumb, end quote. Now, I'm going to assume that Musk was not implying that the moronic eco-terrorists should instead target traditional vehicle factories. The irony of this attack is, of course, obvious, as Tesla is in the business of making cars that are powered by electricity instead of fossil fuels, technology that environmentalists typically praise for being cleaner, although they really don't like to talk about the mining and refining that's required to produce each battery. And if anyone has seen a cobalt mine, it's not earth-friendly. Despite Musk's private sector push for cleaner and greener technologies, the Berlin Gigafactory has been a regular target of environmentalist ire. Musk is trying to double the size of the facility, which currently has a capacity of around 500,000 cars a year. However, that expansion, and here's the problem, would require clearing nearby trees. Now, roughly 100 environmentalists have been camping in a forest near the factory to protest this expansion. I don't know. Do you ever get the feeling that justice warriors in general are just an unhappy, angst-ridden gaggle of whingers, unable to find any joy in life? Maybe that makes me sound too cynical. But it's worth noting that even the tree huggers that were protesting in the nearby forest took time out from playing hacky sack to disavow the arson attack at the Tesla plant. Again, to be clear, officials have not officially confirmed Volcano Group's involvement in the attack, and they continue to investigate the letter's authenticity. European authorities, as you may know, tend to be reluctant to blame anyone for anything out of fear of offending someone over something. Meanwhile, Tesla said they did not know when they would be able to restore power and resume operations at the plant. Local officials called it a perfidious attack. Now, that's definitely the PDB word of the day, perfidious. And it put thousands of lives at risk by cutting them off from essential services. They promised severe consequences once they can confirm who was behind the sabotage. Severe consequences. Well, somebody is going to receive a harshly worded memo from EU bureaucrats. Now, before we go to a quick break, a reminder that today we launched our President's Daily Brief Premium membership. By becoming a premium member, you'll be signing up for an ad-free listening experience and other exclusive content that will only be available to our premium members, including a monthly Ask Me Anything session. To sign up, just visit pdbpremium.com and you can begin your ad-free listening today. All right, coming up after the break, we'll discuss a disturbing new report from the United Nations that highlights the depraved actions of Hamas terrorists against Israeli citizens during the 7 October attacks by Hamas that started the current conflict in Gaza. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. It's been nearly 5 months since Hamas's October 7th terror rampage that kicked off the war in Gaza. Since that time, the world's focus has largely shifted to the IDF invasion of the Palestinian enclave and the regional unrest the conflict has created. However, a new report from the United Nations is serving as a stark reminder of just how brutal that initial Hamas attack was. In the report that was issued on Monday, the UN finally acknowledged some of the extreme acts of depravity carried out by Hamas terrorists, specifically sexual violence perpetrated against Israeli women. Now, I should warn you that some of the information in this report is very disturbing, so listen at your own discretion. The 24-page report was compiled by a mission team from the UN's Office of the Special Representative on Sexual Violence and Conflict. They were sent to investigate claims of sexual violence made by Israeli officials shortly after the 7 October attacks. The team from the UN carried out their investigation between January 29th and February 14th. Now, the UN experts interviewed dozens of witnesses and reviewed thousands of photos and 50 hours of video that were created during the attack, much of it from cameras that were carried by the terrorists. According to the final report, the mission team concluded, quote, that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the conflict-related sexual violence occurred in multiple locations during the 7 October attacks, including rape and gang rape in at least 3 locations. Those sites include the Nova Music Festival. The report continues, quote, in most of these incidents, victims first subjected to rape were then killed, and at least 2 incidents relate to the rape of women's corpses. The UN team also found a pattern of victims, mostly women, found fully or partially naked, bound, and shot across multiple locations. Although circumstantial, such a pattern may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including sexualized torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. Really, United Nations? You needed a special mission team to make that assessment? Now, the report doesn't end with the October 7th attacks. It suggests that the sexual violence may still be occurring. The report reads, quote, based on the information gathered, the mission team found clear and convincing information that sexual violence has been committed against hostages and has reasonable grounds to believe that such violence may be ongoing against those still held in captivity, end quote. The report concludes by adding that the prevalence of sexual violence during the 7 October attacks and their aftermath may take months or years to emerge and may never be fully known. Well, that may be true, particularly if they let the Hamas supporters within the UN's UNRWA agency handle the investigation. Now, nobody who has had the unfortunate experience of seeing or viewing photos or footage taken by the terrorists during their medieval rampage needs a report from the UN to understand just how brutal those attacks were. That, combined with Hamas's repeated pledge to carry out further 7 October-style attacks and to ultimately destroy Israel, should serve as a reminder, whether you agree with it or not, to those who might need reminding as to why Israel feels strongly about the need to destroy Hamas. Obviously, the campaign inside Gaza has resulted in tragic loss of life for Gaza civilians who are caught in the crossfire. And they're trapped in a terrible situation because Hamas has spent almost 20 years stealing resources intended for the people in order to pursue their dream of destroying Israel. And part of that is their methodology of embedding themselves within civilian infrastructure. Frankly, The people who care the least and profit the most from dead Palestinians are the Hamas terrorists. The people of Gaza deserve a more stable, peaceful, and hopeful future. But that can't be achieved if Hamas remains in charge in Gaza. So at some point, if there is to be a lasting peace, there needs to be a new governing authority. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Tuesday, 5 March. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And be sure to check out our new premium membership at pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool.